Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Beast Kingdom Special Edition, Limited Edition, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice Batman, which is part of their DAH line, which is Dynamic Action Heroes 1/9 scale action figures. Now this is some kind of limited edition. I'm not 100% sure what the deal is because they contacted me and asked if I wanted to review some of their SDCC stuff ahead of time. I was like, yeah, I would like to do that. So they said, okay, we'll send you some. And so they did. But the only one I got that actually had an SDCC sticker on it was Wonder Woman. So this might be limited edition that's for the first time available at SDCC. I'm not entirely sure. I didn't have time to contact them because SDCC is tomorrow. And I just got them. But it's some kind of limited edition, and that's all you really need to know. And it is, there's the number right there, 001 SP. That's the particular model number of this Batman. So that's all you need to know. So yeah, they did send it to me for review. Thanks to you guys for sending it to me for review. And I'm sorry for some of the things I'm going to say in this video. I'm going to put it out there right now. I was so psyched when I got the package and I saw this. That is my favorite look for Batman by far. The blue and the gray and the yellow. Oh man, that is what Batman's supposed to look like. And I saw that and I'm like, oh, that's really cool looking. And then I opened the box and that's what came out. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. And this guy stands just about 7 3/4 inches, which makes him just about 19.5 centimeters. And I don't personally mind that it's a weird scale. Not many things come in this scale, but I've got lots of figures that don't really line up with anything else, so I don't really mind that. And of course, if you're buying this line, you know that, so that's not really a gripe. It's a strange scale for sure, but it is what it is, so that's fine. I know some people hate that it's in this scale, but I'm like, well, then you knew that going into it, so that's the way it goes. And then the rest of the figure is, well, maybe something you didn't know going into it. There are a lot of things on this figure that are very, very, very strange. Very strange and not particularly well executed. There are a couple things that are well executed. For instance, the texturing on his suit looks really good. They did a good job with that. I will give them that. The cape is wired, so that's nice. It's got a copper wire in there, very fine wire. It's good enough. It's not great. Then the paints are relatively clean. They're not great, but they're okay. He does have some accessories. Those are pretty good. We'll look at those in a second. And then the profile of the Batman head is just about perfect. It looks really good from the side. So I'll give them that as well. And again, I'm sorry, Beast Kingdom. I know you sent these to me for a review, but I don't do reviews that are based on who sends me what, so I have to be completely honest. Not much else of this figure is very good. There are lots of problems with this guy, and we're going to get into it. It's my job. I have to. That's the way it goes. But first, let's talk about the accessories. We do have the 2 fist hands that come on him in the package. We have 2 Batarang gripping hands, 1 grapnel gun gripping hand, and then 2 high five hands. So a decent spread of hands, no problem there. We have 3 Batarangs, which I am so very happy about. It seems like such a silly thing, but these are die cast, and they're sharp and pointy, and I like them. They are very cool, very nicely done. We do have his grapnel gun, which is pretty well done. It's painted nicely, sculpted nicely. It does have a removable and flexible soft plastic so you don't break it as easily, little grappling hook type thing. You do get a rope with it, but I could not get the rope to peg into the gun, only into the back of the grappling hook, so that's definitely a problem. And then lastly, you get a display stand, which has a ratcheting base, and then an adjustable tightness for the top hinge, and then a very loose swiveling hinge with 2 claws on the top that are not spring-loaded, just pressure fit, kind of like a Tamashii Nations base. It's a nice enough base. It's really just going to be good enough for stabilizing. It's not really going to be good for posing. And that's it for the accessories. Not a bad batch, I have to say. Now let's talk about the figure. The first thing I want to note is the proportions are kind of weird. They're not terrible for Batman in particular. He's got kind of this look overall. The shoulders seem very small. He's kind of knock-kneed though, and his chest is very narrow relative to his waist. And I know it's mostly like that in the movies, but the way this is sculpted is just a little bit off-putting. He looks kind of like somebody in a Batman suit who is not Batman. Also want to point out the way they sculpted the wrinkle in the trunks right there. It's very questionable looking. I'll leave it at that. The face likeness from a front perspective, it's a bit derpy looking. It honestly doesn't look great. It's kind of weird. And then we have the issue of this. There's a big keyhole in his chest which doesn't have anything to peg into. So you get this really nice range of movement for his cowl, which would be okay, but anytime you pose it, you get a big gap right there, and that's not good. And then you get another big gap in the back. You can kind of see it, hopefully. Yeah, you can. Because this cow is apparently, they use this body for something else, I'm guessing, and then this one is not what they intended, so it leaves gaps behind. And then the material for the cape, I kind of appreciate it because it's like a pleathery material, but it also holds wrinkles like crazy, and this is how it came out of the package, and I doubt I could do much to fix that, to straighten it out. So it's just kind of blah looking, and then the pleats are actually permanently in there, so there's not really much you can do with that. It's a little not great. It's not good. For the shoulders are relatively small. They do have this feature where you can slide them out to give yourself better range. However, I don't know how much it's going to really help. Like, it's on a ball peg in there, so you can move it around pretty well. If you stick it out, you can move them around a little bit better. But other than, I don't know, like other than going down more, like it just doesn't seem very useful. And then the shoulders don't fill this socket hole. Like, the shoulders are very, very small. So that lets them move around, but you end up with a big gap and tiny shoulders. So that's just not a good design. This figure feels very much like a first attempt. And I know that sounds harsh, and again, I'm sorry. I hate to say this when people give me review samples, but it needs a lot of work, and that's not a good thing. Bicep swivel is okay. Double jointed elbow gives really nice range. Pretty ugly elbow. Not the worst we've seen though, so that's okay. For the wrists, we have double ball peg, which does give you really good range, but it ends up creating some gaps. It's pretty gappy, as a double ball peg generally is. That's why for wrists, I think ball hinges are the way to go. It's very hard to not have weird gaps for a double ball peg. For this part of the torso, it's very stiff, so I can't say 100% for sure what it is. I think it's just a single ball peg. You do get pretty decent range going forward, almost none back, and you get decent range going side to the side, but not too much. Rotation is minimal, so that's okay. For the lower torso, it's a single ball peg. You get all of the rotation you want there, so that's pretty good. As far as leaning goes, forward and back, just a tiny bit. Side to side, just a tiny bit. So the torso is okay. The belt is very floaty. That's fine. It won't get in the way at all. Trunks are a fixed piece. They're not soft plastic. They're not floating. For the hips, you get hinged ball pegs for the hips, not unlike your SH Figure Arts. Then you get the ball socket there, which is kind of questionable design, and then that rotates in the thigh swivel. But the way the legs are cut, you can't do anything with them. They don't line up with the trunks, first of all, and then when you pose them, it's just even uglier. You need to have that kind of like sculpted out, smoothed out, so that it actually looks okay. It looks very mechanical and weird looking. And then you do get a thigh swivel as well, which is just redundant. So you have a thigh swivel in here, which is hidden, and then they put a cut swivel right here, like a traditional old school swivel, which is not great. They don't line up very well, and it's totally redundant compared to because of this swivel up here. So that's very strange. For the knees, we have like permanent knock knees, first of all, and then there's no kneecap. So it looks goofy when it's straight. When it's bent, it looks pretty goofy as well. It's a pretty ugly knee with moderate range. It's okay. It is ratchety, but no kneecap. Very, very strange looking. For the ankles, we have a double ball peg. That doesn't work. It gives you a little bit of an ankle rocker. That's it. The design of this is just very strange. It's recessed, so it's a recessed ball peg, and then the sculpt is just totally encompassing it, so you can't use it. It looks okay when it's not bent, but you can't use it. You have a toe hinge here, which creates a large gap and is a little bit weird. And then on this side, it's made, as far as I can tell, it's actually assembled this way. I couldn't get it to come apart. It's actually dislocated a little bit. It's totally off, so there's a gap. So overall, guys, these are not very good figures. I wanted to like it. I wasn't very familiar with it. Oh, also, there's these big pegs in the shoulders. That's not okay at a figure like this. Yeah, I wanted to like these. I wasn't very familiar with them. When they said, hey, do you want to review them? I was like, sure, that's kind of exciting. I'll review a new line of figures. Maybe I'll like them a whole bunch. I have to be honest, objectively, they're not very good. Subjectively, I guess you could make an argument for them, but I would be very happy to argue against you because it would be very easy. Just not very well done, guys. Overall, I can't recommend it. The only time this figure looks good is when you're looking at it from the side. Like, look at that. It looks almost perfect. And then you look at it up close in any other pose, and it's just not good. So I can't recommend it. I'm sorry, Beast Kingdom, but you asked for reviews. That's what you got. I guess that's where we leave it. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos up almost every single day. We talk about action figures, movies, TV shows, video games. All kinds of fun stuff, so make sure you come back for that. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and in the meantime, keep collecting.